Have a look at this painting. We have one blind man here following this man, and he's blind as well. Then we have another blind man who has his hands on another blind man. But this is where disaster starts to unfold. Right next to this poor fellow, you can see this man about to fall down. This unfortunate person is already tasting the mud. And when you zoom out, you get this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A total of 5 blind men walked ahead following another blind man. You might think that this was bound to happen, but what if I told you that the overarching meaning of this painting is far more complicated? The scene right here is simple, but take a look at this church with a dead tree in front of it. This simple addition makes the meaning of this painting quite deep. I'll give you 10 seconds to take a good look at this painting. In these 10 seconds, you need to figure out the one bizarre thing about this scene. It could either be in the background or with the way these men are walking. What's the one thing that does not add up? Your time starts now. If you have your answers ready, keep it in. I'll explain the odd thing about this painting soon, and it is going to change the way you're seeing the entire scene. But first, let's get the introduction out of the way. The painting you're looking at is called The Parable of the Blind, and it was painted by the famous Dutch painter Pieter Bruegel, the Elder. I don't know about you, but any man who has the Elder in his name automatically gets respect from me, and the artist deserves the respect as well. Wanna know why? Well, at first you might think Bruegel has just shown 6 blind men walking down the path, but take a closer look. First, let's observe this gentleman, whose expression says that he knew this was going to happen. Notice that there are no eyes, even the eyelids are missing. This suggests that the man's eyes were either removed due to a fight or because he was handed down a severe punishment, perhaps for a severe crime. The third man's eyes are completely opaque, a condition called corneal glaucoma. The fourth man's eyes has atrophied, possibly due to a disease or trauma. The fifth man is covering his eyes, which could possibly be due to hypersensitivity to light. The last man is said to have pemphigus, which is an autoimmune disease that can cause blindness if not treated early. All the 6 individuals have a different form of blindness, and the painter has ensured that people can make out what their condition is. That's some attention to detail, not to mention the extensive detail in the background. So is that it? 6 poor blind fellows inevitably walking towards an expected and probably painful fall. Yes, that seems to be all about the painting, but there's something we are all missing, and it's right in front of our eyes. I guess we are the blind people in this situation. These poor people, wait, they're not poor, are they? I mean, take a look at their clothes. The fallen guy here has a lute, and all of them have proper hats, breeches, and even shoes. This guy even has a shin guard and a knife. Look at this man here. He certainly does not look poor. This is what a beggar or a poor person in the Middle Ages looked like. And by the way, this painting is also made by the same artist. These men here are dressed better than half of the people in Europe at that time. So what exactly is going on? Well, we might be in for a surprise because these 6 men might not be too innocent. If you look at this fellow whose eyes have been removed, it is very likely that he was involved in some kind of scheming or treason. In the Middle Ages, the punishment of treason was the removal of the eyes. I hope I don't have to add forceful removal because no one is lining up to get their eyes removed willfully. So this man might be a criminal. We can assume that he had it coming. So, no pity party for him. Let's move to the second man who is unfortunately heading towards a terrible fall. This man wasn't punished, right? He's suffering from corneal glaucoma. But when you look at the possible reasons for developing this disease, physical trauma and injuries are some of the prime reasons. And look, what's that? It looks like a knife. And those shin guards also point that this man might very well be a brawler, getting in fights with other people. So not exactly a punishment, but a consequence of his own action. Now the remaining lot do not show anything special that can be used to deduce their predicament. But one thing is for certain, they're not poor. Their condition is a result of their own action. Painting such contradictory scenes was not a new thing for Mr. Bruegel. Take a look at this scene. Can you guess what this painting is about? I'll give you a hint. It's about this guy right here, taking a dive. This person is Icarus. Yes, Icarus who flew too close to the sun. But Bruegel has shown a completely different and quite opposite scene. Either Icarus forgot how to use his wings, or perhaps his navigation system was not working. Bruegel also depicted a lot of Dutch proverbs in his paintings. For example, this painting called The Peasant and the Nest Robber is a depiction of the famous proverb, "He who knows where the nest is has the knowledge. He who robs has the nest." That's not a very helpful one, is it? That's actively promoting stealing. And perhaps his most impressive and famous work is a large painting called the Netherlandish Proverbs, where he has depicted, are you ready for this? A total of 126 proverbs in a single canvas. I'll soon be making a dedicated video on it. One such proverb is the blind leading the blind, which refers to people who follow leaders that do not know where they are going either. It also refers to the fact that following someone blindly will always result in a disaster, as seen here. Remember I told you about the crucial placement of the church? There's a reason why Bruegel added it with a dead and quite depressing tree. The positioning of the church could be an indication of his dislike toward the forceful imposition of Christianity during his time. The background and the foreground sort of show a contrast. Here's a church that should be the guiding force for the good of the world. And yet, people are blindly following the blind, ultimately leading towards a big fall. A lot of people have pointed out that the church might be just an addition, along with the dead tree. But they forget that Bruegel was an artist who was known for his details. All the little things in the scene had a purpose and a meaning. Another interesting thing that tells me that these people are not poor is because Bruegel was called the peasant painter. He was intrigued by the life of the common folks. Almost all of his subjects were everyday people, barely surviving. The fact that he has shown these people in such a sad state and, in a way, ridiculed them tells me that they're not the oppressed, but perhaps the oppressor. But what about their blindness? As I said before, their affliction was not natural, rather a cause of their own actions. You see, this painting was made during the Renaissance. Back then, people who were born blind or got blinded due to natural reasons were considered divine with healing powers. Their portrayal was always done in a grand way. And any sensible person can look at this scene and say that there is nothing grand about these people's portrayal. Also, I really love when painters add a reference to their own works. And Bruegel, being a master of details, added the proverb of blind leading the blind in his famous Netherlandish Proverbs painting. Here, take a look at it. Pause the video if you want to and see if you can find the reference. Done? If you were able to do it, great. If you weren't, don't worry. Bruegel did not make it easy for anyone to spot it. Here, let me zoom in. You can see 3 blind figures walking ahead. Now this scene looks like an inevitable disaster. I mean, we know that all of these men are about to fall. But apart from what's going on here, the painter also uses a trick of perception to add tension. Bruegel understood proportions quite well, but something looks off here. The way these men are walking from one corner to the other gives it a jarring structure. You also cannot see a defined path, which makes their walk even more bizarre. A lack of proper shadows, the curved path, and the distorted sizes of these people all work together to make your head spin. You might not feel the exact same effect because you're probably watching this video on a small screen or from a distance if you're watching it on a TV. But this painting was the largest painting of 1568, so watching it up close would give the effect of seeing a scene out of the window. And we're finally at the end of this video. Do you think that these people are really innocent or unfortunate? Or there's something dark afoot? It's time you start writing your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know your ideas and opinions about this painting. Till we meet next time, have a great day ahead.